How's everybody's days been? Good? I've had a great day. I just wanted to give you a reminder about the assessment form. Please don't forget about it. There's questions on the back. We really do take it seriously, and we use it to shape next year's conference. So please fill that out for us. There's a box out there that you can put them into afterwards. If you have had a great day, please consider joining us on next year's planning conference committee. It's a fun committee to be a part of. We have some established people on it, and we have some new people on it, and we like to have more new people on it because that gives us new energy and new ideas and things like that. So please consider joining us on the conference planning committee. And speaking of which, we've already started looking to next year's conference, and so save the date for June 17th, 2016. It'll be held at the University of Hartford. I'd like to call up Christina Deptulski. She is the 2016 chairperson for this conference. She's from Goodwin College, and she's going to help us draw the names for our door prizes. On the front of your envelope, you'll have your number for your door prize. So the first door prize is, you can be my Vanna, Christina. It's a copy of the book One Shot Library Instruction Survival Guide. If you haven't read it, it's fantastic. And it's going to kind of carry forth what we've been seeing today. So I think it's a great prize.
Number 16.
Okay.
No?
Oh, yay.
16? 16?
You got it.
You got it. All right. Welcome. Enjoy.
And we've got one more copy of the book. One more chance.
Number 114.
Woo!
114.
Woo! Naomi. Okay, this is maybe considered our grand prize. It's a free registration to next year's conference.
98.
Woo! Thanks, Christina.
You want to give it to her?
No. Yay! That wasn't planned at all, but that is our closing speaker. So, thanks, Christina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll see you this year and next year up here, but over in University of Hartford. Well, I'd like to introduce our closing speaker, Mary MacDonald, as the professor and head of instruction services at the University of Rhode Island. The committee first heard about Mary from a presentation she gave last fall in Canada on information literacy that included the title of Using Wisdom, Courage, and Humor in Instruction, 3 essential traits. After speaking with Mary, apart from her warmth and humor, which you will see soon, the fact that she has been an ACRL immersion professor for 8 years made it a match made in heaven. As I'm a graduate, are there any other graduates of immersion? Lots, yeah. So we know that we're going to probably be thinking, pairing, and sharing here. And I just knew she would be the one that's going to help us bring today's practical ideas back to our libraries and carry them forth. Reviewing Mary's bio in your program, you'll see the scope of her accomplishments. From establishing and co-chairing the Rhode Island Library Association's InfoLit Action Roundtable, receiving the ACRL Instruction Section Innovation in Instruction Award, and co-authoring 2 pieces, creating a comprehensive information literacy plan and teaching information literacy 50 practical standards-based exercises. Most recently, Mary was awarded the URI Faculty Senate Outstanding Service Award, developing awareness of InfoLit as a crucial skill for the 21st century. We are honored to have her with us. Here's Mary.
Are there any more prizes in here?
Lots of numbers. How's that?
Thanks, honey. Okay, so we have a little setup to do, so bear with us. We need to do the... So this is Mary's craft box. This is my craft box, and you'll either run screaming or you'll love me, but just bear with me, and if you're very good, we'll get out early. So, Joy needs a little help distributing, and we'll get started. I'm just going to move this. Why don't you just walk around with it? Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to again join with everyone here to thank Joy Hansen and her fantastic conference committee for putting together another wonderful Connecticut conference. Because this is one of the best InfoLit conferences because it's small enough to say howdy to everyone and to have those in-between session conversations, and large enough for us to get some very expansive ideas and practical ideas just like today. So and also thanks for the invitation to speak with you today. And instead of, I know an awful lot of people in the room, and they'll tell you that I'm not a theorist, I'm much more of a practical librarian, and I love theory, and I relish people who can explain it to me in layman's terms because it's not my strength. My strength is being in a classroom, working with students and trying to figure out how to untangle their information literacy issues and problems. So I'm here today to kind of reflect on the day, to encourage you to utilize the things that we learned, and to kind of power up in a few different ways. It was a fabulous conference. Some of the things, just to go over very quickly, we learned about flipped classrooms. We learned about the Rhode tutorial, which of course is from the University of Rhode Island, if I put a little plug in. We learned creative instructional techniques, and we learned about breaking out of the one-shot session. We also learned more great stuff about personal librarians, about embedded librarian techniques and styles, and about inquiry-guided booklets. Some of the things I noted today, and I thought this was fabulous, when we had our keynote opening speaker, and Dr. Liu said, "You are the solution." Okay? So put that in your back pocket and drive home with that. It was a great compliment, but he knew where it was at. He said, "You guys are it," right? The other thing I noted, or something I learned today, is where's Sarah Quimby? Sarah here? Sarah? Could Sarah get up and do the Apple Talk real quick? Okay, I learned about the Apple Talk. I want you all to learn it. Come on up. Come on, Sarah. Where are you going? Oh, wait. So hang on. So I learned about, Sarah did a great, here she comes, watch her. Watch close. Thank you so much. So, this is a really practical tool, and today's a practical conference. So you have the apple talk, the cannoli talk, the coffee talk, the tea talk. So, you got to put it into action. So jot that down, okay? The other thing that I picked up this afternoon that I thought is something we know, just kind of bring it home with you, is when Christina Debtulski said in her session, directors must be supportive. So if there are any library directors here, and I know there's at least one or two, thank you for your support, your continued support, your ongoing support. And if your director's not here, bring them next year because we need their support. So thank you on that. Last thing I picked up this afternoon was a gentle reminder of that KWL chart that we all have seen and sometimes forget about it because it's kind of a substructure. If you remember the questions, what do you know? What do you need to know? What did you learn? But I understand now from Kathy Gavin that educators have added KWL plus H, and the H is how will you continue to learn? So I think that that's something, there's a lot of times we get into the framework and into meta-literacy and into digitization, and we get into things. We forget sometimes about the simple questions that can actually help us scaffold a quick lesson just like that. So KWL plus H. So those are just a few quick things. Okay, so it's the end of the conference. You're either excited and you're revved up because you learned about a new technique or a tool that you can't wait to go home and get into action for maybe the summer or at least for the fall, or you're tired, you've had too much caffeine, you've had too many cannolis, you're overwhelmed, you're info overloaded, you can't wait to get back on the highway and drive home, and you're wondering, how will I bring all of this home, okay? If anyone's like me, did you doodle today? Did anybody doodle besides me? Good, I have a couple of doodle friends. Did you know that doodling increases retention by 29% of what you learned? So in your little craft bag, there's an index card that you can start doodling on now if you need to catch up, because doodling, there's a woman named Sunny Brown. She did a TED Talk in March 2011. And she's the author of a book called Game Storming, a playbook for innovators, rule breakers, and change makers. And she's an evangelizer for the of the power of visual thinking, of doodling. Now, I learned from Sunny Brown. Don't you love that name? I wish it was my name. All right, that doodlers have a bad rap. They're daydreamers, they're too creative, they're not paying attention, maybe they don't think they're serious, and I'm a heavy doodler. When I'm in my department meetings, hang on, I have to make 2 columns on my note paper. Like, I can't take notes on an iPad or anything because I'm a doodler. So I take notes on the left, and on the right is all my doodling. At least now I've learned how to separate it so it doesn't get too complicated on the page, okay? But doodles are a very incredible tool, okay? So as I said, research, which I'm not going to, this session is not about research. This is just talking. We're debriefing, okay? So Sunny reported that 29% greater retention of new learning over non-doodlers. So I'm all for doodling, and I think it's a good thing to do. You should doodle in your car, but just don't look at it, okay? So she had gone through some OED definitions of doodling, and they were all very negative. So this woman came up with doodling is to make spontaneous marks to help you think. So have at it, okay? So I think that's really important. Doodling helps with deep information processing in 4 ways: visual, audio, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. So doodle on, my friends. I think it's a great way for us to do it. Okay, so next thing is an activity for you. In your craft bag, Mary's craft bag, okay? Oh, and I want forgiveness for the plastic baggies, okay? If you are not a plastic baggie person, this is your 1 baggie for the next year. You ought to take it home, wash it, care for it, and use it until it falls apart, okay? So I tried really hard to find recyclable wax bags or something in my town, but this week I couldn't find any. So you've got it. So take out one card, and I want you to jot down the top 3 things you learned today, and you have about a minute to get it done. All right, let me try again. Janice and Melissa, since I've known you a long time. Janice and Melissa. A little talkie-talkie in the back, yeah. All right, I'm with you there, girls. How about your top 3 things? Anybody want to volunteer from your table? Yes. All right, so flipped classroom, active learning, and the importance of having faculty in our corner and our directors. Don't forget that part. All right, another table. Lisa, how about your table? Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. How about someone from this side of the room? Yeah. Okay. And the doodling. Doodling just wins me over every time. How about a table from the center of the room? I don't think I know anyone at that table. I'm going to have to come visit you guys later. Right in the middle. That looks like a brilliant table. What do you got? Top 3 things.
Stephen?
Anybody?
We didn't have a recording secretary. Oops.
I mean, I'll make stuff up. Okay. So one of the things we thought was memorable was the keynote speakers mentioned that reading online is very different than reading text, and those are different skills, and those aren't covered in the core competencies. So that was eye-opening. I think that the perfect is the enemy of the good was one of the things that we took away. And the sort of metacognition, or having students reflect on their own learning and participate in their own learning, was also important. That's, I guess, both the flipped classroom and the active learning. But
that's wonderful. Thanks. See, you're doing meta learning right now, just kind of reflecting on what we've done. All right. So now everyone, we would go through every table, but I want to get you out of here before 5 o'clock, so we're not going to do that. But here's the deal. You just made a quick, handy note about the top 3 things that mattered to you, about what you learned. Whether or not it was how much you loved the cannoli, or, the great location, or the friends you met, or some content that you picked up. It's on your index card, and you'll notice they're very brightly colored. So now you can put that in your folder, in your purse, in your back pocket, or on, in the little by your shifter in your car, so that you won't lose it. Because you know what happens? We go back to work on Monday, and they say, "Oh yeah, how was that conference?" And you're like, "Oh, it was great. What did you learn?" "I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff." That's what happens to me, and I'm like, I go to a lot of conferences, I love them, and now you have a cheat sheet, so you can thank me later, okay? So put that away, and just remember what you wrote, though, because your next activity requires that you take out your sticky notes, your little Post-its, okay? All right, so how many people know about the 6-word short story? Can you raise your hand if you know this concept? Great. Okay, so it's not been proven, it might be a myth, but there's a story that Ernest Hemingway wrote a 6-word short story. And that it's a little sad. for sale, baby shoes, never worn. Very sad, but amazing how much content and meaning you can get out of 6 words. There's a magazine called Smith Magazine. They took that idea and they turned it into a project called 6-Word Memoirs. You, right now, are going to write a 6-word short story about today. So I want you to think about what we've just kind of debriefed a little bit by sharing at your tables. What was the top 3 things important to you? And that may or may not enter your story. But I'm going to give you, not very long, maybe 3 to 5 minutes tops, to write a 6-word short story about your experience here today at the conference. And then we're going to ask for a few folks to share. And Joy, are we going to stick them up? Yeah, so then we're going to post a whole bunch so that as you leave this loving environment today, you can review everybody's short story. So if you want to take your short story home, write 2. 1 to stick on the dashboard of your car, 1 to stick here to share with your colleagues, okay? So 5 minutes, tops, 6-word short story. Okay, Joy, would you like to do the honors and give us a little reading?
Or does anybody want to read their own? Because they kept a copy? No? Okay. It's all anonymous,
Just read
huh?
a few.
Just read a few. Let's see here. Walk past, lunch table, then return. Start off with that one. All right. Perhaps there is a way forward. Travel, assess active learning, faculty relationships. Information literacy needs networking to work.
True.
The students need to know why. Equal access, critical evaluation, democratic society. Teach what is hard, teach together. Learning new techniques for teaching literacy. Drive, haul, greet, learn, cook and clean. Is that a committee member? Show, don't tell the ACRL framework. So many ideas, hard to choose. Information research requires listening, then doing. New think, inspire, practice, reflect, continue. Let's see. I can't read some of the handwriting, so I'm not being picky.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's it?
For
Okay.
reading a sample of those beautiful 6-word short stories. I've used this in my own credit course at URI to deal with that library anxiety notion. Maybe at the beginning of a semester, in a credit course, we'll have students write a 6-word library memoir, and then at the end, and it's really interesting to see the difference. Usually there's a change. We pray for the change, right? But you can use this in a lot. It's fun, and you can use it in a lot of different ways. You probably could use it in a one-shot as a warm-up. You could, I think it's just an amazing, quick little thing to do. All right, so you are debriefed and you are warmed up. You've got your index card, you've got your short story, and now we're thinking about how to tie it all together. We have some new ideas that we're really excited to bring back to our libraries and share with our colleagues and convince our directors and our chairs and our supervisors that we have a new idea that we'd like to implement in the fall. How are we going to do it? So you know that you want to tie it all together. You've got to deal, if you're an academic librarian, you're thinking about the new framework, you're thinking about the standards that we've been using for 15 years. And we're also going to think about the characteristics of best information literacy programs and how that ties together with your library. And I want you to anchor your new ideas with a document that most of us are familiar with, but I think does not get enough airplay with academic librarians. And that is this document that I refer to, the characteristics of programs of information literacy that illustrate best practices. One reason it may not get a lot of airplay is because the title is really, really long. But I want you to think about the 10 categories And how does what you learned today fit into your home library's IL program? And then we'll review the 10 categories. And I'm not going to teach you how to use the 10 categories at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. We're just going to touch lightly on thinking about where these categories play at home with your own IL program, and how the new ideas you learned about today, or perhaps embellished or worked a little bit on in your own mind and thought about how they will work at home. How do these categories help develop, sustain, implement, manage these new ideas? Because new ideas can only go so far if they don't have all of these best practices, okay? So anchor your ideas in as many of these areas as possible to create that sustainable and manageable program, okay? I know that everyone has seen these documents online, and ACRL has a new initiative to recognize different libraries across the country for having a best practices object in their libraries, or a plan. So basically, the mission, do you have an IL mission? Do you have goals and objectives? Is there planning involved? Is there administrative and institutional support? And again, that does not get nearly enough airtime as it ought to, because as I picked up this morning or this afternoon from Christina, that we need director support. I mean, all grassroots ideas are fabulous and wonderful, but you have to have the support of the higher-ups to put anything into motion, to get your resources, to get time, to get staff, to get money, to get there okay, even if you're piloting. So that, nobody likes to talk about that, because that's the hard part. But let's keep at it, and let's know that we're all working toward that. The articulation with the curriculum. Embedded librarianship, flipped classroom, getting rid of the one-shots. I went to a great session this morning where I learned about the Apple Walk. How does what you want to do articulate with the curriculum that you're currently working with, or maybe you will work with? And for instance, at URI, we're looking at a brand new general education program. So in our area, we have to think, well, how does our IL program articulate with a new program that's coming up? So think about these things. Are you collaborating at the level that you want to? Nobody, collaboration is a word we just throw around, and we know it's a lot of work to do that, but there's all different levels. How do you scale the amount of collaboration that you can handle with the staff and the time that you have available? It's all the sustainability and manageability of every one of these areas. But you're going to have to, who can you collaborate to help you get that flipped classroom project going? Who can you collaborate with to start the new booklet idea? I didn't get to go to that one. I'd love to have gone to that session. I'll be picking someone's brain later about that. So think about, we learned a lot about new pedagogies today. Okay, a lot of people concerned about the framework. Where did what you learned today fit into this document? And how will it help support your mission, okay? Staffing is a never-ending bear for all of us, every single one of us, whether we don't have enough colleagues or whether you're a supervisor, chair, or department head, you want more staff. But how do we best utilize our staff in order to get that new program going, to get that new idea moving along? So on your drive home today, start thinking about it and doodle on a pad next to you on the seat, but don't read it till you get home, okay? So, and then of course, assessment and evaluation always has to be done. So and I have to say, I've only been a librarian for, almost 20 years, but it still seems like it's gone by so quickly. But 20 years ago, you didn't hear people start a new program and talk immediately about how they were going to evaluate and assess it, and now we do. And that's fabulous, because we're always looking at, the other shoe will drop, and how will we know if it worked? How will we know if they learned anything? So that's pretty much inculcated into our programs now, but just don't let it go, okay? On the other hand, this is an idea that I think we can all resonate with, use lateral thinking. And this is an idea from a long time ago, 1967. This guy, Sam DeBono, wrote about lateral thinking. And this quote, I just can't get away from it. I've been using it a lot in my presentations lately. You cannot dig a hole in a different place by digging the same hole deeper. So how many times have we gone back to the new academic year and, used the same ideas, pulled out the same program because we didn't have time to realign it or shake it out or tweak it because we're like, oh, August, everybody's on vacation. The next thing you know, it's like, whoosh, Labor Day, and here we are. So I think I like to encourage myself and my colleagues and all of you to really think about where we want to take our programs. We have a lot of opportunities here today to rethink what we're doing and to use that index card in a useful way. And maybe it'll get kind of war-torn and ragged while you carry it around to department meetings, but do so and think about trying harder in the same direction may not be as useful as just changing direction. Okay. So one of the great things about being here today is I don't have to worry about my Rhode Island accent. Because even when I was in Long Island 2 weeks ago, they still didn't understand me. They thought I was from Boston. When you go to Boston, they think I'm from Long Island. And when you go to Iowa, they can't understand anything I say. But if I say, like butter, do you know what that means? So, persuasion. And that's why Sarah, I am so sorry to be picking on Sarah Quimby, but when she did her Apple walk today, I'm like, that's the nail, that's the thing, right? That learning how to persuade people to take on your new ideas is so much work, but that's something we really need to practice because we are the center of the universe, but a lot of people don't know it yet. So, this is, and this isn't any new information. I am talking about a bowl of cherries that you can use to help persuade other people on your campuses, your other populations that you need to convince, how to convince them to let you try new ideas, okay? So this is also from an ACRL document, so I'm not that bright. I'm just a good searcher, I guess. So one of them is Reciprocity, okay? So I have a great idea, and I want University College at URI. But University College is the place all freshmen enter. It's where they start their gen ed program. It's where they get their advising and all that sort of thing. So maybe I want to start a program, but I got to call up and convince them to take on a new aspect of a program, and I'm kind of hesitant, I'm a good talker, but inside, I'm just like everybody else. I'm a little bit like, I don't really want to do it. So reciprocity concept. How can you help us? How can we help you? Because you really want to help. We really want to help you, and you really want to help us. So the idea is tit for tat. We'll trade you things. You need to, complete X outcome. We can do that for you, and here's how we're going to do that. I think the morning session I went to on the one-shot was talking about how to convince people that you can help them. The instructors that really don't want you to come in, but they're not really articulate about why they don't want you to come in, find out what they want you to do and then do it. That's what reciprocity is, because the next time you go to visit them, they'll be more apt to take you on and take your new idea on, okay? So reciprocity is a great thing. Scarcity is even better. This is so powerful. If you have success in a small program, a pilot program, maybe just something you were experimenting with, and it goes well, just flaunt that thing. Put out a newsletter, talk it up everywhere you go, put it in every report you get, because guaranteed, other people want what they can't have or what they don't have. And when they find out that you did something innovative and imaginative that worked with their students, they're going to lap it up. They're going to be like, oh, Lisa, can you please come to my class and do that? And that's something that's just human nature. People want it. It's how advertisers get us to buy so many things at the mall, right? We want it, So use that to your advantage, okay? Another thing, the authority idea. Be the expert. And before you leave here today, I hope you start feeling more like the expert. I got a few tricks up my sleeve to help you walk out of here feeling a little bit more confident. But I want you to be an expert and establish trust. Many librarians feel like second-class citizens on their campuses, and that's the kind of quiet little secret nobody really wants to talk about. If you're faculty, you're still feeling like I'm not the same kind of faculty. If you're an administrative position, if you're staff, you're like, yes, I provide content, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, but I'm not the same as the discipline faculty. But you are, because you see every single student on your campus in one way or another. And what you provide cannot be done by anybody else. You're it. Okay, you're the heroes. You're the one that makes everything work information-wise. You know, they always say we don't have any money for the library, but take that library away and there's a big black hole. So you are the authority. So in order to do that, you have to start understanding the power that you have. You have to establish trust. Sometimes you establish trust by kind of sharing a little weakness first. You know, we can't do this for you, but we're so smart and so wonderful. We've strategized and figured out how we can do that for you, and you also need that done. We're going to show you, okay? You know, shoulders back, big smile, deep breath, right? You have to lay it out there sometimes, and I think that too many times many of us are afraid to tell them why our ideas are so good and how they're going to help students succeed. Because every college and university in the country wants students to succeed, and we're part of that answer. So we are the authority on information needs. So let's do it, okay? Consistency and commitment. So you want to get commitment from the target audience, whether it's people in your library, in your department, whether it's another college on campus, whether it's the entire campus, maybe you're in a system and you need to actually work together to be coherent, okay? You want to identify what they've done in the past that's good, that has helped you. Remind them of that. Hey, remember when you gave us that lecturer for 1 year and did you see how much work that lecturer put out? Or we had that part-time adjunct faculty that was able to help us implement that program you wanted. If you do it again and give us one more person, we can do, you know, double or triple the amount of work. You have to get out there and really do the marketing and the outreach, and it can be done quietly and it can be done loudly. We know that there's many different ways to reach people, but in order to persuade and get it to be like butter, you still have to put the wheels on it and try to get out there. So this is something that's deeper than what we're talking about today. But if you have a fabulous idea you picked up today, you're going to have to learn how to put the wheels on it, and these are some of the ways that we can do that. We want to get consensus. Everybody's doing it. Did you know that Jim Kinney's new Rhode tutorials, all the writing classes are taking it? They're all doing it before they go to class now. Oh, maybe the history classes should do it too. Yeah, that's a good idea. You ought to go see Jim and talk about it, okay? So everyone's doing it, again, marketing, persuasion, but it can work. And you can't be afraid to do it because, again, not everybody knows how wonderful we are. Some people are looking a little skeptical, but believe me, this works, okay? And liking. People will say yes if they like you or the idea or the library. So they'll say yes when they like others who have said yes. Again, that goes back to scarcity and reciprocity and all that. They'll say yes when you thank them for things. They'll say yes when they feel part of the whole project or the process that you're going through. So maybe you have that big faculty bibliography display and you're thanking them for bringing their materials in so that you can highlight the work of their department. Or maybe you're thanking them for bringing in their entire, all of the writing classes came, not just 3 or 4. Maybe they thank you because now those students have a better toolkit. They can succeed. It's all about the students. I guess that's not in the ACRL document, but one of my bottom lines is it's always all about the student. Whatever we do is to help them. It's not about us, it's about the kids, so let's make it work for them. All right, so now I want you to open up your little clear plastic baggie. And you, my friends, are going to make your very own magic wand. So everybody has at least 10 pipe cleaners. If you don't like the colors, it's because I hand-packed them all last night while I watched Property Brothers. So you can trade pipe cleaners if you don't like the colors you got, but I would like you to make a magic wand to help you go into work on Monday, to remind you that you're going to act on something you learned from today. Okay, looks like people are just about done. So we're going to add some more power to your magic wand. So I want to like everyone to stand up. Rise up, you people. Come on, up and at 'em. All right, so does anybody know who Amy Cuddy is? Amy Cuddy is a Harvard social psychologist who works for the Harvard Business School. And her research on physicality and empowerment has turned her into an international phenomenon who teaches people that acting in a powerful stance just before they have to do something a little bit nerve-wracking, like maybe go into their director's office and ask them if they can run a whole new program based on flipped classroom, or embedded librarianship, or ditching the one-shot. They need a magic wand, and they also need to feel really powerful. So right now, everyone needs to put your hand on your hips. Yeah, come on. And spread your legs like Wonder Woman. And they say that if you do this for a couple of minutes before you go do the ask, that you will literally feel more empowered. Now, I want you to try it, and when I come back next year with my free registration, I'm going to check in on you and see how that worked. But it's real research. You can look it up. There's a TED Talk, but she actually has written research articles on this. And there's an alternate for if you don't really not into Wonder Woman. There's the starfish, which goes like this. So everybody try it out, see how you feel. Arms up. It's all right. We're all friends. It's good. I know it's Friday afternoon, okay? Magic wands up high, okay? All right, so while you're practicing that, I'm gonna stand here and talk for a minute. So, your IL Warrior Toolkit for the last 45 minutes includes doodle more, keep your takeaway card close by, tell your 6-word story to anyone who will listen to you, pay attention to the IL best practices, use lateral thinking, practice persuasion and make it like butter, carry your magic wand, and as you leave today, I would like to see power poses all the way to the parking lot. And my dear friends, there she is. Thanks, farewell, safe travels, and have a wonderful weekend.